Hello there, everybody. This is Mel Allen. Don't let me interrupt your dinner, folks, but the bats are stacked and fit to be cracked. Big bat day for Smalley, switcheroo, and 6 runs, too. Batten down the Brew Crew hatches. The birds will not drive Earl batting. Make way for Batman. Segue to Robin. Battle on, freshman. No choice is clear for Rookie of the Year. And batter beware, Bat Boy, too. The animal is loose. So what's the count? Are bats in the belfry worth 1 in the hand? Take a look. Batter up on This Week in Baseball. American League East. Will the first place Brewers slide in the stretch or ride on to glory? Well, some wise old veterans were required to help face that question. Like Don Sutton, 13-8 with Houston, and in his Milwaukee debut, facing Cleveland's Von Hayes with a 2-1 lead and 2 on in the 9th. But all of a sudden, 4-2 Indians. So 254 National League wins, but 0-1 in the American. Well, bring on the Angels, said the Brew Crew. Howdy do, said Brian Downing, who stepped up as the first batter in the 3-game series and smacked homer number 23, his 6th homer to lead off a game. Of course, Gorman Thomas and the Brewers came storming right back, as is expected in the battle between the league's top 2 power clubs. Milwaukee held a 2-1 upper hand through 5, but in the 6th, Bobby Gritch and the Angels went up to stay. Home run number 16 for Gritch. And with Tommy John making his California debut, everything was looking up for the Angels the rest of the way. Win number 11 for TJ, and well-timed because Gene Mock's club had been a little bit down. For example, in the very next game, Angels got to wear red shoes, of course, but they can't afford to overslide. Right, Reggie? Going, man, you're gone. Actually, credit Ted Simmons and other Brewer bats for this victory, or if you prefer, California's Lost in Space outfield. No matter how they scored in this 8-2 win, Milwaukee fans point out that the Brew Crew is loaded with heavyweights. Mark Brohard, shortly after his minor league recall, came through with a key blast in the final game. No question, Harvey's Wallbangers packed the wallop. But even though the Brewers have continued to win at a hefty pace, it remains to be seen if they'll pack up a division title. Because look who's stalking out of the forest with 10 straight victories and 17 of 18. Why, of course, it's the high-flying Baltimore Orioles, again pulling off that old hat magic. Jim Palmer can still make them stare at the air with spellbinding benders. And Trim Jim can still blow them out, too. Palmer threw a one-hitter at Minnesota, his 11th straight victory and 2nd straight shutout. So he, who was thought to be fini, has come back to be the hottest pitcher. Also hot, Dennis Martinez, who won 3 straight complete games before failing to finish against the Twins. But no matter, the Birds won that one, too. And Mike Flanagan, who won his 4th straight to up his record to 12-10. 12-2 lifetime against the Mini Twins. Baltimore's pitching had been far from up to snuff, but a 2.27 ERA over a 14-game stretch is more than good enough. And as Eddie Murray has surged upwards, so have the Orioles. Another late-season power flurry from Murray. In 19 games, 9 homers, 27 RBIs, a .377 average to raise his season stats to 26 homers, 86 RBIs, and a .319 batting mark. Also hot, Cal Ripken Jr., 7 homers and 15 RBIs in 20 games. In moving from 7.5 to 3 games behind Milwaukee, the Orioles' 17-1 stretch was even better than their 15-1 streak in '79, the last time they spelled pennant. In Chicago, it seemed all over but the concession for the White Sox, who looked kind of all bent out of shape when they fell 9 games out of it. But the Sox then stopped hanging their heads and snapped right back in it. Vance Law, batting in the 10th, scored tied at 5, chipped in the gamer to complete a come-from-behind victory for the White Sox over the Rangers. 1 of 6 straight Chicago wins and a surge which moved the Sox to 4.5 games behind Kansas City in the West. Leading the charge, the Chicago Bull, Greg Luzinski. In 8 games, 15 hits and 28 trips, lifting his average to 300. Also, 10 RBIs, giving him 92 for 82. In addition, the Bull raised his game-winning RBIs to 16, 3rd best in the league. And in extending credit on the supply side of the South Side's recovery, don't exempt Steve Kemp, who inflated his average to 297, his RBIs to 84, and game winners to 12. So just when the record appeared unkempt, a winning tune resounded again at Comiskey Park. And instrumental to improvement on the mound, a radically improved Rich Dotson, who went from 3-11 to 10-11 with 7 straight wins, while lowering his ERA from 5.16 to 3.77. And from the bullpen, a U-turn for Jim Kern. 2 terrible outings after coming from Cincinnati, but in the next 4, no hits, no runs, 1 win, and 2 saves. All of it only proving that September is still too early to discount the Sox in the American League West. Now, it's time for this week's Volkswagen quiz, brought to you by the 1982 models. Nothing else is a Volkswagen. Switch-hitting Willie Wilson of the Kansas City Royals didn't turn many heads his rookie year as he batted only .217. But since then, Willie's had them turning every which way and then some, hitting over 300 every year to give him a lifetime average of .313. This season, the Royals' sweet switch swinger leads the majors, averaging around .340 as he aims for his first batting title. Can you name the last switch hitter to win the batting crown? Stay tuned. Still parking with the best in the National League West, the San Diego Padres. But the Padres figured as the worst. So how come?
You got to be mad.
Really? For heaven's sake.
Guys are beautiful when you're mad.
Well, that's not for weak stomachs. You see, Terry Kennedy and the once humble Padres aren't just chewing the fat when they talk pennant. Last year, 2 homers. This year, 18 for TK the Padre. Also 81 RBIs, plus a league-leading 38 doubles. And no catcher has ever led the National League in doubles.
I think I'm a better hitter now than I ever was because of my attitude up at the plate. I'm not afraid to strike out. I'm not afraid to fail.
He's improved dramatically over the course of the year with his defense, with his throwing. And he's big, strong. He's a workman-like player that can be in there 140 games a year.
And after playing almost 140 games, the Padres were only 4.5 off the pace, making their turnaround from previous cellar seasons the most dramatic in baseball. Like the guys said, they're mad. and San Diego fans glad to have an exciting contender. Ace Tim Lawler was also glad to get back on track as he pitched the Padres to a 4-1 victory over the Cubs for his 13th win. Lawler had been hurting since the All-Star break, but could provide just the spark to keep the pennant-starved Padres mad enough to arrest the West. And gumming up matters even further in the East, the Philadelphia Phillies, who took 3 from Houston to move a half game behind St. Louis. Steve Carlton overpowered the Astros for a 2-1 victory and thus became the first 18-game winner in the majors. Lefty also fanned 12, the 7th time this year he struck out 10 or more. Mike Schmidt won the game in the bottom of the 9th off Joe Niekro with this blast, his 29th homer of the year. Ask how he does it time and again, and you'll not get a heavy answer.
When I have a light bat in my hand, something that feels light, I feel confident that I can sit back, see the ball, and even if I'm fooled a little bit, I can still, I can still make the move and make contact. So I tried to take as light a bat up there as I could, and it paid off.
Now, an overview of the National League freshman class of '82. In Los Angeles, rookies always seem ripe for picking when it comes to awards. The last 3 rookies of the year were Dodgers, and Steve Sachs wants to make it 4 freshmen in succession. He's among the league leaders in hits, stolen bases, and triples. And how so swift a trip from Double-A to All-Star?
I think it's the fact that I have to, I have to adjust to the different league. I think that's what makes people stay in the big leagues is the fact that they can adjust and they can adapt to the different situations, the different lifestyle, and especially the competition on the field. That's where it's all at.
There's competition because Pittsburgh is hip hooray for second baseman Johnny Ray, whose hitting stats are much like Sachs. Ray's now proven that he's not in over his head. But in the spring, did he perhaps wonder if indeed he might be?
Well, not really, no, because, every rookie goes through this situation. He's got to prove himself, and I'm just looking forward to it.
And they certainly look forward to the debut of Chili Davis in San Francisco. With 15 homers and 64 RBIs, the Chili man has been truly productive, if not as super hot as some had thought.
The number one thing I think you have to do is to try to be a lot more consistent. If you can be consistent on a day-to-day basis, I think you're capable of being a big league ball player if you have any talent at all.
And consistent has been the word for rookie teammate Bill Lasky. A 2.64 ERA and a 12-10 record is considerably more than the Giants had counted on from the strong right-hander. In St. Louis, switch-hitting Willie McGee has been a tremendous freshman surprise for the Cardinals, defying gravity all season with an average in the 320s after being slated for another year in the minors.
The only thing that worries me is when hard times strike, how they will react. So being a rookie, I don't know how to handle it. I want to turn around and, let them know that I appreciate everything. But then again, like I said, I don't have the experience of being on the negative side of things yet.
And had not hotshot rookie David Green been injured, Willie McGee would have not had a shot with the Cardinals. Green's a .320 hitter, but gets fewer chances now due to McGee. In Chicago, Ryan Sandberg has handled the Cubs' hot corner and taken a sharp rise at the plate while stealing 31 bases. In Philadelphia, Bob Denier has made swift progress, and though he lost his starting job, he still has 40 steals. In Montreal, a bad break for Terry Francona, hitting .321 before his knee injury. And in Atlanta, relief from Steve Bedrosian, whose big heat and small ERA have kept him alive. And from San Diego, a triple-armed fountain of youth. Luis the Ponce de Leon, ERA .204. Floyd the Whiffer Shipper, ERA .259. And Eric, as in wow, Shaw, ERA .2.48, to go along with 10 wins and 4 losses. A rookie trio that has done plenty to spring the Padres from the cellar to contention in what has to be one of the most uplifting freshman years in National League history. Now, let's switch back to this week's Volkswagen quiz. In 1979, Gary Templeton was the first player to get 100 hits left-handed and right-handed in the same season, a feat later matched by Willie Wilson. But Templeton did not win the batting title. However, in 1973, switch-hitting Pete Rose did win the title with an average of .338, the last switch hitter to win a batting crown. The last switch hitter to lead the American League was the Yankees' Mickey Mantle. In 1956, he batted .353 with 52 homers and 130 RBIs to win the Triple Crown. Uh-oh, Devil Moon again. What devil's dreams have you concocted now?
Just think of it. Thousands of bats flying around Comiskey Park.
Comiskey Park, any park. One bat flying is one bat too many. Take that, bat. Good shot. Now, remove the bat, if you will, and bring back the normal bats. Odd that those can produce horrors, too. Smell a rat? Stay away, say they. And what say you, Pup Pup Blue? Do bats give everyone the shakes? Seems so. A Batman kinda spooky and kinda fluky. Just like the ball game. Okay, seen enough? Let's stop batting around the bush, Count. This game requires only one kind of bat. Got that? Wonderful. Talk about going bats, get a load of this. Introducing the animal. That's what they call Cincinnati's rookie reliever, Brad Leslie. Just part of a grand tradition of bullpen wackos, like Al Raboski and the Psych, or Kevin Saucier and the Turkey Strut. Well, forget 'em. Animal is the biggest, wildest, and most dangerous of the breed. At 6'6" and 220 pounds, it's hard to tell whom he frightens more, opposing batters or teammates. No matter, he's here and on the loose. Step aside, son. Seeing is believing, and just as two eyes are better than one, so are 2 outs better than 1 out, that is. So, gentlemen, take 2. Thrilling, twin killings. In New York, Benny Ayala was pinch hitting for the Orioles and fell behind 0-2 on the count. But then, bango Benny. Say goodbye baseball. the 11th pinch hit homer by the Orioles this season, and that's an American League record. In Pittsburgh, old number 8, Willie Stargell, had a uniform day. After becoming the 6th Pirate to have his number retired, Pops delivered in the pinch. So a perfect day, 1 for 1 for Pops, and a victory over the Mets for the Pirate family, who seemed to feel it was a great idea to retire the uniform, but not to retire Stargell. Finally, a left and a right from Roy Smalley, recipient of this week's Gillette Special. Batting left against the Royals, Smalley belted his first homer of the game and 13th of the season, good for 3 Yankee runs to ignite an 18-7 Royal roast. Later on, a repeat performance from the right. So the Smalley Show, 3-run shots from both sides in the same game. Switch smashes off Broadway.
And when I go out on the field, I'm not thinking about performing for anybody but my teammates and my employer and the whole city of New York that are Yankee fans.
Naturally, Roy, congratulations. And see you next week, folks, on This Week in Baseball.